Hi everyone, we're here at Flintridge Bookstore this afternoon and we have two of our favorite children's book authors with us, Sue Ganz-Schmitt and Andrea Loney, and they are here to talk about writing but also specifically to introduce their latest books. Sue's newest book is Skybound, starring Mary Myers Carlotta, Daredevil, Aeronaut, and Scientist, and Andrea's latest Abby in Orbit edition, Mission Moon. So my name is Gail Mishkin. I'm the events manager at the bookstore, and we're just going to ask these two great authors a couple of questions. First thing is, could the both of you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about how you got into writing, how long you've been writing? Why don't you take it, Andrea?
Okay. So, yeah, I'm Andrea Loney, Andrea J. Loney in the books here. And wow, I've been writing for a really long time, but I have been writing picture books and children's books since probably about 2012. And my very first book that sold in 2014. So this is my 10th year. This will be my 10th year as a published author. So that part's pretty cool. And what's the other question?
How I think that I think you told us how long you've been writing. So yeah, Sue, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Sue Ganz-Schmitt, and Skybound is my seventh book that I've published. And I started writing, I've had a dream to write since I was 5 years old. I had an aha moment. I was being bullied by my big brother, who is very nice now. And I was taking cover and I thought, I want to write a book to help the little sisters not be bullied. And so bullying is a theme in a couple of my books, but another theme of my books that you'll see in a lot of them. This was the first one that I published, and I independently published this one around 2004, I think it was. And this is Even Superheroes Get Diabetes, and the theme that keeps coming up in my books is flight, and so that mirrors Skybound. Also, a couple of books here, Planet Kindergarten, a couple of those. So those are the books that I've written. In 2017, I attended Vermont College of Fine Arts, and I think I learned how to write better picture books through that program. And this is one of the books that came out during that time, or what came to me during that time. It just released.
And before I go on with the next question, Andrea, did you just want to show us quickly? I know they're not related to flight, but a couple of the other titles that we have behind that are by you that are right behind
so a lot of my books are about kindness and creativity and and diversity and showing Black excellence, Black joy, Black history, Black future, all of that. So Bunny Bear was the very first book that I had that came out in 2017 about a bear who believes in his heart that he's a bunny. And yeah, this book is an ALA challenge book. And Curve and Flow is about LA architect Paul R. Williams, who actually designed buildings in Flintridge in this neighborhood. Yeah. So that's cool. And the Abby in Orbit series, is just about this little girl who's kind of scattered, living someplace where there's no gravity, and just always trying to do the right thing while having fun doing it.
Cool. So I think both of you were going to read a little bit from each of your most recent books. So
we should start with Sue because Sue is like chronologically.
Okay.
Chronologically.
Okay, this is Skybound, starring Mary Myers as Carlotta. And she was an aeronaut in the 1800s, the mid to late 1800s. And this is a quote from her. There are times when one has to decide what to do and do it in the twinkling of an eye. Mary Breed Hawley had lofty ideas, but when she soared into the world in 1850, girls were taught not to do brave and dangerous things. Proper young ladies like Mary were simply expected to land a husband, have children, and stay tethered to their homes. Proper or not, Mary dreamed of flying, floating freely in space. When she woke up, Mary was still earthbound. And this beautiful art is by Iacopo Bruno. Mary soon found ways to get her feet off the ground. Balloon madness sailed in from France and captivated America. Daredevil aeronauts landed on the front pages. Ballooning, could that be Mary's one way up? By 21, Mary caught the eye of a photographer, inventor, engineer, and scientist. Carl Myers was mad about ballooning and weather. He found Mary lively and whip-smart, and he swept her away with his high-in-the-sky ideas. Just as society expected, Mary and Carl tied the knot. The new Mrs. Myers did not settle into the kitchen or the garden. Instead, she flung herself into the library. Mary read about aeronautics and meteorology until her head spun with facts. Then she helped Carl invent a groundbreaking new balloon fabric. And I'm going to just show you a few of the pictures in the back matter. This is Mary's first flight, and this is the balloon farm where she retired, and they built most of the balloons in the United States. And this is the actual Mary Myers, who flew as Carlotta, with lots of information about her in the back and a timeline of her life. On to you.
Thank you.
Wordplay. Just like on the first page, it's so beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna skip ahead about 130 years. 230 years? What year was that?
She lived until 1932, but her flights took place 1880 on until about 1910.
Okay,
So you're right on there.
okay, yeah. 230 years later, we're gonna read Abby in Orbit, Mission Moon, and this is the third book in the Abby in Orbit series, and it's the first one illustrated by Wendy Tan. The previous books were illustrated by Fuji Takashi, and it's also the first one that takes place off of the space station. Oh, and I dedicated it to my little big brother Brandon, who made it back to us, because as I was working on this book, my younger brother was in the hospital recovering from a heart attack, and yeah, it was bad, but he's back, and it was great. So I wanted to dedicate a book to him, because he's a good little brother. All right, speaking of good little brothers, I'm going to take my glasses off so that my eyes work properly. Chapter 1, A Sticky Situation. Abby, mission control to Abby. Abby Moondrop Baxter, do you copy? Sorry, Papa, I said as I looked up from the new present Mommy had given me that morning. It was a rainbow star sticker. But not just any kind of rainbow star, and not just any kind of sticker. It was a holographic photo sticker of a real star. As it floated in microgravity, different colors rippled across its surface. And this is Abby and her dad. This is Sirius, or the dog star. I think that's how you say it. Is it Sirius or Sirius?
I think it's Sirius.
I think it's Sirius, yeah. This is what happens when you read more than you talk to people.
But there's an astrophysicist in the back. We could maybe ask him later.
Okay, this is Sirius from the dog star, Mommy had said when she first gave me the sticker. I first saw it through a telescope in the Griffith Observatory when I was about your age, because the mother in this book grew up in Southern California. Mommy had told me that the real Sirius was an actual factual rainbow star, but it only looks like it changes colors, but really it's always the same color. All this time, there was a real rainbow star out there in the universe, and I didn't even know. What else didn't I know? In my first year of living on the International Space Station Oasis, the biggest thing I'd learned about science is that I have about 750% more to learn about it. There were things I didn't know that I didn't know. Would I ever be able to squish all of them inside my brain? Papa was at our home pod window, pointing towards the moon. As I was saying, I set up the underground 3D printing lab way down there at the lunar South Pole. Nico pressed his sticky little hands against the glass. That's where you made things out of moon dust, right, Papa? Nico and Papa smiled at each other. Nico loved hearing Papa's stories about his time on the moon, but to be 150% honest, whenever I looked at the moon, I mostly thought about the year Papa went on his lunar mission. I'd missed him so much, I used to stare at the moon and squint really hard to see if I could find him up there. Just then, Mommy brought out one of her favorite gifts from Papa, a chunky, heart-shaped moon rock he picked up just for her. Nico and I always got excited to see it. Mira, Nico said. Moon rock, can I hold it? No, you cannot, Mommy said. I keep this in a secret hiding place for a reason. It's called a breccia rock, and it's delicate. Yeah, I told Nico, you have to wait until you're older, like me. Mommy pulled it away from me, too. Not so fast, Mommy said. So when can we touch it? I asked Mommy. When you're old enough to go to the moon and get one of your own, Mommy said with a laugh and a wink towards Papa. I wish I had my own moon rock to play with whenever I wanted to. I also wish I had my own secret hiding place to keep stuff away from Nico, my parents, and everyone else. I didn't even know what I wanted to put there yet. I just wanted a secret place. I turned back to my shining, shimmery new sticker. I can't wait to show my friends how it turns red and yellow and purple. You know me, Corazon, Mommy said to me. They might not see the same colors you see. It's like looking at a real rainbow on Earth. No two people see its colors the same, see each other's exactly the same way at the same time. What? I shouted. I felt like my brain was spinning. How can we see different rainbows? Mommy pointed at my sticker. It's like how the dark star only seems to change color. A rainbow changes colors based on the angle you're seeing it from. It's another illusion. How did I miss this? If other people can see rainbow colors that I can't see, what else was I missing? What else didn't I know? Okay, so I'm going to stop there.
Thank you both. I just wanted to ask you both too, what inspired this particular title for you, Sue, and for you, Andrea, the whole series. So
Yeah, I was given an assignment in grad school to write my first picture book biography, and I was a little nervous about it because I'd only written fictional picture books. And so I started looking for some amazing woman from history that hadn't been widely written about. And when I found Mary Myers, I was astounded because I've loved space since I was a kid. I remember watching the moon landing, and I would have been an astronaut if I had had role models that were like Mary or Abby in orbit, and there just weren't books or subjects at the time about that. And so when I came across her, I was astounded. She was the most expert balloon aeronaut of her time. She had more flights than all the men and than all the collective group of women together. And she set a world record going 4 miles up in a natural gas balloon with no equipment, no oxygen mask, and was able to survive that. It was like she was made for the clouds. And she did it at a time where women couldn't walk down the street without a chaperone. And so I found a subject that I could live with it's been now 6 or 7 years that I've been researching her, and I continue to research her and learn more and more about her. And I hope that one day she'll have her own stamp. She's so significant in the history of flight. She taught herself to be a scientist and map the currents. And so,
thank you, Andrea.
Wow. Let's see. Really, where the impetus for Abby in Orbit came from was I was asked by the publisher if I wanted to write a book about a little black girl who lives on the International Space Station with her family, and they wanted it to be a little kind of like Anne of Green Gables, which of course I loved. And I asked them, can I make her Afro-Latina, because my dad is from Panama and you don't normally see that many Afro-Latino people. And they said yes. So I went to town and I wrote this. The first 2 books I wrote in 2020, the summer of 2020. So it was when the pandemic had just started and we didn't really know what was going to happen. And my family was all spread out different places, and I couldn't get to my sister who was sick. I couldn't get to my mom when she was sick. My dad couldn't get to me. And I just wanted my family to all be in one place. So I kind of wrote them into the book that way, where I got to be with my little sister, set up kind of as Nico over here. My mom's like this super duper smart person who's like a VP of the intranet at Merrill Lynch kind of stuff. And my dad's still working those dad jokes. He's just rocking them. So I thought it would be really good to put it all together and pour as much of my real life emotions that I had when I was 8 years old into it. And I think it's worked out really well because I thought I was a big mess back then, and somehow Abby comes out being charming.
Like you do. For sure.
And finally, just one last question. Do either of you have advice for anyone who is interested or starting to write a children's book, or I guess any book for that matter?
Absolutely. Write it. I have so many people that come and tell me, I have this great idea for a picture book. And the first thing I say is just write it. Just get it down on paper. I know it's intimidating and scary, but it becomes real as soon as the words are on paper, and you can always change them. I wrote over 100 drafts of this book. So don't be scared. Just put one word in front of the other and see where it takes you. It's a magical experience.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of what Sue was saying. I know that there are some people who believe that when you read a book, the author literally just wrote it exactly as it is on every single page. And if you're a children's book author, you also drew the pictures. And it takes a lot of drafts. It's writing when you first start out. And when I say first start out, I mean first start out on any book, anything. Even if you've been doing it for like 50 years or something, things can be very messy at the beginning because you are literally trying to create something out of nothing, and it needs you to believe in it so before it can actually exist. So I call that part of drafting kind of like the raw, all over the place drafting. I call that like my 5 raccoons behind a typewriter drafting. And it doesn't matter. No one's going to see it but me. And I write it out. I look at what works. I look at what doesn't work. And then I just keep rewriting it and shaping it and molding it. Like if someone gave me some Play-Doh and said make a horse, I wouldn't be like, horse, you know? I have to actually massage it and move it and remember what a horse looks like all that. Same thing with writing. And there are some people who enjoy having written more than they actually enjoy the writing process. And from what I understand, the people reading it, they can't tell the difference. It can all be awesome. So if writing is hard for you, you may just be a writer, because that's how that seems to work for most writers. And if writing is easy for you and you love it, the world needs more people who love what they're doing. So do it and keep going. And even if you only write it for you, you deserve your best. So you should write whatever it is that comes up, and then make sure that you make friends, like my friend Sue here, who I have known for, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years now.
I think so.
Yeah. Because Sue and I were in a critique group together with some other writers and illustrators, and it's the best thing to like bounce ideas off of really smart, funny people and figure out how to make stories better, because they say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's how I feel like our critique group has done really well, just everybody helping each other out.
Yeah.
Did you want to add?
Yeah, if you don't have a critique group, where do you find one? If you're not a member of the Society of Picture Book Writers and Illustrators, which is the scbwi.org, go there, check it out. That was the best advice I was given when I began this journey. And I have gone to every conference, every meetup that I could since around the year 2000. And without them, most of these books would not have been in existence. But one of the best parts of it is the people that you connect with on the journey. And through the STBWI, you can find critique groups. They have boards where you can say, hey, I'm looking for a critique group, or I'm looking for illustration critique group. It's all out there, and the best place to find it, in my experience, has been through them. So check it out.
Great. Good advice. Good advice. And with that, I'm just going to say thank you for joining us at Flintridge Bookstore and taking to the sky with children's book authors extraordinaire Sue Ganz-Schmitt and Andrea J. Loney. Thanks again.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Flintridge Bookstore.